The rain-slick streets of Seattle glistened under the sodium glow of streetlights, but Claire Redmond barely noticed. Her heels clicked sharply against the pavement, each step a metronome to her racing thoughts. Another boardroom battle won. Another billion-dollar deal sealed. Yet, as she cut through Pike Place Park, her empire felt hollow, and then she saw her. A girl curled on a bench, shivering under a threadbare hoodie. Claire stopped dead. The world, with its endless demands and glittering facades, screeched to a halt. The girl couldn't have been older than 17, her face half hidden by a tangle of chestnut hair. Her body folded into itself against the autumn chill. Something about her, maybe the defiance in her clenched fists or the fragility of her frame, clawed at Claire's chest, unearthing a memory she'd buried long ago. She approached, her breath catching as she noticed the girl's torn sneakers and the small backpack clutched like a lifeline. "Hey," Claire said softly, kneeling beside the bench. "Are you okay?" No response. The girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open, revealing a stormy gray that pierced Claire like a blade. Those eyes. She'd seen them before, hadn't she? "I'm fine," the girl muttered, voice rough, pulling the hoodie tighter. "Leave me alone." But her words trembled, betraying the bravado. Claire's gaze fell on a crumpled photo sticking out of the backpack. A picture of two women, one older, one younger, laughing under a summer sky. Her heart lurched. The older woman in the photo looked eerily like no, it couldn't be. "I'm Claire," she said, steadying her voice. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, then whispered, "Ellie." Claire's pulse quickened. Ellie. The name echoed in her mind, tugging at a thread of guilt she'd spent years ignoring. She glanced at the photo again, her stomach twisting. "Ellie, why are you out here alone?" Ellie's jaw tightened, her eyes darting away. "Doesn't matter. You wouldn't get it." But Claire did get it, more than Ellie could know. She'd once been that girl, defiant and scared, hiding who she was from a world that didn't understand. Claire's success as a tech mogul, her sleek penthouse, her tailored life, none of it erased the scars of her own youth, of a love she'd lost to fear and shame. "Try me," Claire said, sitting on the edge of the bench, ignoring the damp wood soaking her coat. Ellie's silence was heavy, but her eyes flickered with something, hope maybe or desperation. "I'm not leaving until you talk," Claire added, her voice gentle but firm. Ellie sighed, her breath visible in the cold air. "I got kicked out," Ellie said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "My dad, he found out I'm She swallowed hard. "He saw me with my girlfriend, Sam. Called me a disgrace. Said I wasn't his daughter anymore." The words hit Claire like a punch. She knew that pain, rejection for loving who you love. Her mind flashed to her own past, to a girl named Lily, to promises broken under the weight of family expectations. "Where's Sam now?" Claire asked, her voice softer than she intended. Ellie's face crumpled. "She's gone. Her parents sent her to some conversion camp. I haven't heard from her in weeks." Tears welled in Ellie's eyes, but she wiped them away fiercely. Claire's chest tightened. She wanted to reach out, to tell Ellie she wasn't alone. But the photo in the backpack gnawed at her. There was something about it, something she couldn't shake. "Ellie," Claire said, her voice trembling now. "That photo, who's in it?" Ellie froze, her hand instinctively covering the picture. "My mom," she said quietly. "She left when I was a kid. I don't even know where she is now." Claire's breath hitched. The older woman in the photo, those familiar cheekbones, that half-smile. It was Lily. It had to be. Claire's world tilted. Lily, her first love, the one she'd walked away from 20 years ago, too afraid to fight for what they had. Could Ellie be? No, it was impossible. But the dates lined up. The ache in Claire's chest grew sharper, a mix of guilt and longing. She needed to know more, but Ellie was already pulling away, curling back into herself. "Stay here," Claire said, standing abruptly. "I'm getting you something warm to eat." Ellie's eyes narrowed, suspicious, but she nodded. As Claire hurried to a nearby diner, her mind raced. If Ellie was Lily's daughter, what did that mean? Had Lily moved on, built a life, only to leave her daughter to this? Or was there more to the story? Claire's hand shook as she ordered soup and coffee, her polished exterior cracking under the weight of questions she wasn't ready to answer. When she returned, Ellie was still there, clutching the photo like it was all she had left. Claire handed her the food, sitting beside her in silence. The city hummed around them, indifferent to the collision of their worlds. Claire didn't know what came next, but one thing was certain. She couldn't walk away. Not this time. The diner's neon sign buzzed faintly as Claire sat across from Ellie, the steam from the soup curling between them like a fragile truce. Ellie ate slowly, her hands trembling as she gripped the spoon, her eyes avoiding Claire's. The silence was heavy, but Claire didn't push. She knew better than to force open a heart that had been slammed shut by betrayal. "Do you have anywhere to go?" Claire asked finally, her voice low, careful not to spook Ellie. The girl shook her head, her jaw tight. "Not anymore. I've been crashing at friends' places, but they've got their own problems." Ellie's voice cracked and she looked down, her fingers tracing the edge of the photo still tucked half out of her backpack. Claire's gaze lingered on the photo, her mind spiraling. Lily's face, those warm brown eyes, that crooked smile haunted her. 20 years ago, Claire had chosen ambition over love, leaving Lily behind in a small Ohio town. She'd told herself it was for the best, that their love couldn't survive in a world that judged them. But now, seeing Ellie, Claire wondered if she'd been wrong all along. "Why are you doing this?" Ellie asked suddenly, her voice sharp with suspicion. "You don't even know me." Claire hesitated, searching for an answer that wouldn't scare Ellie off. "Because I've been where you are," she said finally. "Not exactly, but close enough. I know what it's like to feel like the world's turned its back on you." Ellie's eyes flicked up, searching Claire's face for a lie. Finding none, she softened just a fraction. "You don't look like someone who's ever been kicked out," she muttered, glancing at Claire's pristine coat and diamond stud earrings. Claire smiled faintly, the irony biting. "Looks can lie," she said. "I built this life, but it cost me. More than you know." Ellie didn't respond, but she didn't pull away either. Claire took it as a small victory. "Come with me," she said, standing. "I've got a guest room. One night, no strings. You can decide what's next in the morning." Ellie's eyes narrowed, her body tensing. "I'm not a charity case," she snapped. Claire held her gaze. "I know you're not. But you're also not invisible. Not to me." After a long pause, Ellie nodded, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. The walk to Claire's penthouse was quiet, the city's pulse a distant hum. Ellie's sneakers scuffed against the polished marble of the lobby, her eyes wide as she took in the chandelier and the doorman who nodded at Claire. "This is a lot," Ellie muttered as they stepped into the elevator. Inside the penthouse, Claire watched Ellie's guarded curiosity. The way her fingers brushed the sleek countertop, the way her eyes lingered on the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle's skyline. "Make yourself at home," Claire said, gesturing to the guest room. Ellie hesitated, then nodded, disappearing inside with her backpack clutched tight. Alone, Claire poured herself a glass of wine, her hands unsteady. She pulled out her phone, her thumb hovering over a search for Lily's name. She hadn't dared look her up in years, afraid of what she'd find. But now, with Ellie's photo burning a hole in her mind, she typed Lily Harper into the search bar. The results were sparse, a few outdated social media profiles, a mention in an old local paper. Nothing recent. Nothing that explained Ellie. Claire's thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock. Ellie stood in the doorway, her hoodie swapped for a borrowed sweatshirt that hung loose on her frame. Thanks," she said, her voice barely audible, "for not leaving me out there." Claire's throat tightened. "You don't have to thank me," she said. "But I need to know more about that photo. About your mom." Ellie's face shuddered, but she sat on the couch, pulling the photo out. "She left when I was 6, she said, her voice flat. "Dad said she wasn't cut out for family life. I don't know where she went. This is all I've got of her." She handed the photo to Claire, who took it with trembling fingers. Lily's face stared back, unchanged by time, her arm around a younger Ellie, both of them beaming. "Do you know her?" Ellie asked, her voice sharp with hope and fear. Claire's heart pounded. She wanted to say yes, to spill everything. Her love for Lily, their stolen summer, the way she'd run from it all. But the words stuck. "She looks familiar," Claire said carefully. "But I'm not sure. What was her name?" "Lily Harper," Ellie said, and Claire's world tilted again. It was her. But how? And why was Ellie here alone while Lily was where? Claire forced a calm she didn't feel. "I'll help you find her," she said, the promise slipping out before she could stop it. Ellie's eyes widened then softened, a flicker of trust breaking through her walls. As Ellie retreated to the guest room, Claire sank onto the couch, the photo still in her hand. She didn't know what she was stepping into, but she knew one thing. Ellie wasn't just a stranger. She was a threat to a past Claire had tried to forget, and a chance to make things right. Morning light streamed through the penthouse windows, painting the room in gold, but Claire barely noticed. She hadn't slept, her mind tangled in memories of Lily, late-night talks under starlit skies, stolen kisses in the back of a beat-up Chevy, the way Lily's laugh could make the world feel safe. Now, with Ellie asleep in the guest room, those memories felt like a debt she could never repay. Ellie emerged, her hair a mess, her eyes wary but softer than the night before. "You didn't have to do all this," she said, gesturing to the breakfast spread Claire had ordered. Pancakes, fruit, coffee. Claire shrugged, forcing a smile. "You looked like you could use it." Ellie sat, picking at a pancake, her silence loud with unspoken questions. Claire broke it first. "Tell me about Sam," she said, keeping her tone light. Ellie's fork froze midair, her expression a mix of pain and longing. "She's everything," Ellie said softly. "We met at school. She's the only one who ever got me. We'd sneak out to this pier just talking, you know? Planning a future." Her voice cracked. "Then her parents found out. They said I was a bad influence." Claire's chest ached. She knew that story, love deemed wrong, futures torn apart. "And your dad?" she asked gently. Ellie's face darkened. "He caught us kissing in my room. Went ballistic. Said I was unnatural. Threw me out that night." She looked down, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweatshirt. "I thought he'd come around. He didn't." "I'm so sorry," Claire said, meaning it. She wanted to tell Ellie about her own past, about loving Lily in a world that didn't make room for them. But the words felt too heavy, too raw. Instead, she asked, "What about your mom? Do you know anything else about where she might be?" Ellie shook her head. "Dad said she ran off with some woman. Never talked about her after that. I found this photo in his stuff when I was 10. Kept it ever since." She paused, her voice softening. "I used to think if I found her, she'd, I don't know, fix everything." Claire's heart stuttered. Lily with another woman? The thought stung, but it also sparked hope. Maybe Lily had found happiness, even if Claire hadn't been brave enough to fight for it. "I meant what I said," Claire told her. "I'll help you find her. I've got resources, people who can track her down." Ellie's eyes lit up, then dimmed with doubt. "Why do you care so much?" Claire hesitated, then decided on a half-truth. "I lost someone once. Someone who mattered. I don't want you to go through that." Ellie studied her, then nodded slowly, a fragile trust forming. Claire pulled out her phone and texted her assistant, Mia, with instructions to dig into Lily Harper's whereabouts, discreetly. Mia was a wizard at finding people, and Claire trusted her to keep it quiet. As Ellie ate, Claire's mind raced. What if Lily was out there, living a life Claire could only imagine? What if she wasn't? The uncertainty gnawed at her, but so did a growing resolve. She couldn't change her past, but she could help Ellie. Maybe even save her from the pain Claire had carried for decades. "Let's get you cleaned up," Claire said, standing. "Then we'll figure out next steps." Ellie followed her to the guest bathroom, where Claire had laid out fresh clothes. A simple sweater and jeans, nothing flashy. Ellie's gratitude was silent but palpable, a small smile breaking through her guarded exterior. While Ellie showered, Claire's phone buzzed. Mia's text. Found a lead on Lily Harper. Last known address in Portland 2 years ago. Want me to dig deeper? Claire's fingers hovered over the screen. Portland was close, too close. She typed back, yes. Everything you can find. Fast. Her heart pounded as she imagined facing Lily again, or worse, learning she was gone. Ellie reappeared, looking more like a teenager than a runaway, her damp hair tucked behind her ears. "You didn't have to do this," she said again, but her tone was softer, almost grateful. Claire smiled. "Stop saying that. Come on, let's talk about what you want to do next." They sat on the couch, the city sprawling beyond the windows. Ellie hesitated, then spoke. "I want to find Sam. And my mom. But I don't know where to start." Claire nodded, her mind already working. "We'll start with your mom. And I'll see what I can do about Sam. Deal?" Ellie's eyes searched hers, then she nodded. "Deal." As they talked, Claire felt a shift. A purpose she hadn't felt in years. Ellie wasn't just a reminder of her past. She was a chance to rewrite it. But the photo on the coffee table loomed, a silent question mark. Who was Lily now? And what would happen when they found her? The Seattle skyline shimmered through the penthouse windows, but Claire's focus was on her laptop, where Mia's latest email glowed with new information. Lily Harper had been spotted in Portland, working at a community center for at-risk youth. The details were thin. A grainy photo from a fundraiser, a mention of her volunteering. But it was enough to make Claire's pulse race. Lily was alive, close, and maybe reachable. Ellie sat across from her, sketching in a notebook Claire had given her. The girl's pencil moved with purpose, sketching a pier that Claire guessed was the one she'd shared with Sam. "You're good," Claire said, nodding at the drawing. Ellie shrugged, but a faint blush crept up her cheeks. "It's just something I do. Helps me think." Claire leaned forward, choosing her words carefully. "I got a lead on your mom. She might be in Portland. I can have someone check it out, or we could go ourselves." Ellie's pencil stopped, her eyes snapping to Claire's. "You're serious?" she asked, hope and fear warring in her voice. Claire nodded. "If you're ready." Ellie's fingers tightened around the pencil. "What if she doesn't want me? What if she left because of me?" Her voice broke and Claire's heart twisted. She reached out, hesitating before resting a hand on Ellie's arm. "You were 6. Whatever happened, it wasn't your fault. But we won't know until we try." Ellie nodded slowly, her jaw set. "Okay, let's go." Claire felt a surge of pride and dread. Facing Lily meant confronting her own failures, but for Ellie, she'd do it. She booked 2 train tickets to Portland for the next morning, her mind already racing through what she'd say when they found her. The train ride was quiet, the Pacific Northwest blurring past in shades of green and gray. Ellie stared out the window, her sketchbook open but untouched. Claire watched her, seeing echoes of Lily in the curve of her jaw, the intensity of her gaze. "You okay?" Claire asked softly. Ellie nodded, but her fingers fidgeted with the edge of her hoodie. "Just scared, I guess." Claire understood. She was scared too, not just of seeing Lily, but of what it would mean for Ellie. What if Lily wasn't the person Claire remembered? What if she didn't want to be found? The questions churned, but Claire kept them to herself, offering Ellie a reassuring smile instead. In Portland, they headed to the community center, a modest brick building tucked between a coffee shop and a thrift store. The air smelled of rain and espresso, and Claire's stomach nodded as they approached the entrance. Inside, the center buzzed with activity. Teens playing basketball, volunteers organizing supplies. Claire scanned the room, her heart pounding, but Lily wasn't there. A woman with a clipboard approached, her smile warm. "Can I help you?" Claire explained they were looking for Lily Harper, keeping her tone neutral. The woman's face softened. "Lily's not here today, but she'll be back tomorrow. She's one of our best volunteers, works with the kids, especially the ones who've had it rough." Claire's throat tightened. That sounded like Lily, always giving, always caring. Ellie's eyes lit up, but her voice was cautious. "Does she talk about her family?" The woman shook her head. "Not much. She's private. But she's got a big heart." Claire thanked her, her mind spinning. They checked into a nearby hotel, and Ellie retreated to her room, sketching furiously. Claire stayed up, staring at the ceiling, memories of Lily flooding back. Her laugh, her stubborn hope, the way she'd made Claire feel whole. The next morning they returned to the center. Claire's heart thudded as they stepped inside. And then she saw her Lily standing by a bulletin board, pinning up flyers. She was older, her hair streaked with gray, but her presence was unmistakable. Claire froze, her breath catching. Ellie beside her hadn't noticed yet, her eyes scanning the room. Lily. Claire's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried. Lily turned, her eyes widening, then narrowing in disbelief. Claire, she said, her voice a mix of shock and something deeper, hurt maybe or anger. Before Claire could respond, Ellie stepped forward, clutching her photo. Are you Lily Harper? Lily's gaze shifted to Ellie, and her face paled. Who are you? She asked, her voice trembling. Ellie held out the photo, her hands shaking. I'm Ellie. I think you're my mom. The room seemed to still, the air thick with unspoken truths. Claire watched, her heart in her throat, as Lily's eyes filled with tears, recognition dawning. Ellie, Lily whispered, stepping closer. Oh my God. She reached out, then stopped, as if afraid Ellie would vanish. Claire's chest ached. She wanted to run, to hide from the pain of this moment. But she stayed, rooted by Ellie's courage. This was no longer about her past. It was about Ellie's future. The community center's hum faded as Lily and Ellie faced each other, the air thick with years of unspoken loss. Claire stood back, her heart pounding, feeling like an intruder in a moment she'd unwittingly set in motion. Lily's eyes, brimming with tears, traced Ellie's face, searching for the child she'd left behind. You're so grown, Lily said, her voice breaking. Ellie clutched the photo, her knuckles white. Why did you leave? She asked, her words sharp but trembling. Lily flinched, her hands twisting together. I didn't want to, she said. Your dad, he made it impossible. I wasn't strong enough to fight him then. Ellie's jaw tightened. He said you ran off with someone. That you didn't want me. Lily shook her head fiercely. No, never. I loved you, Ellie. But I was broken. I thought you'd be better off without me. Her voice cracked and she looked away, shame etching her features. Claire's chest ached. She knew that shame, the weight of choices made in fear. Ellie's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. I needed you, she said quietly. And you weren't there. The words hung heavy and Lily's shoulders sagged. Claire wanted to step in to ease the pain, but this was theirs to navigate. Still, she couldn't stay silent. Lily, she said softly, stepping forward. She's been through hell. She deserves the truth. Lily's gaze snapped to Claire, a flicker of old anger resurfacing. And you? What are you doing here, Claire? After all these years? The question stung, but Claire held her ground. I found her, she said. On a bench alone. I couldn't walk away. Lily's expression softened just slightly, but the tension between them crackled. Ellie looked between them, confused. You know each other? She asked. Claire nodded, her throat tight. We grew up together, she said, choosing her words carefully. Lily's eyes narrowed, but she didn't contradict her. Instead, she turned back to Ellie. Can we talk? Just you and me. Ellie hesitated, then nodded, her guard still up. They moved to a quiet corner, and Claire watched from a distance, her mind racing. She hadn't expected this, Lily here alive, carrying the same wounds Claire had buried. She pulled out her phone, texting Mia. Check on a Samantha, Ellie's age, sent to a conversion camp. Urgent. If she could help Ellie find Sam, maybe it would ease the ache of this reunion. As Lily and Ellie talked, Claire caught fragments. Lily explaining her struggle with her own identity, her fear of hurting Ellie, her regret. Ellie listened, her face a mix of anger and longing. Claire's heart twisted. She remembered Lily's courage, how she dreamed of a world where they could be themselves. Had Claire's leaving pushed her to this, to abandoning her own daughter? Hours later, Ellie and Lily returned, their faces raw but calmer. She's staying with me tonight, Lily said, her voice steady but fragile. If that's okay with you, Ellie. Ellie nodded, her eyes still wary. Claire forced a smile. Of course. I'll be at the hotel if you need me. She handed Ellie her card, her hand lingering. Call me. Anytime. Back at the hotel, Claire paced, her mind a storm. Lily's reappearance had cracked open a part of her she'd locked away. She poured a whiskey, the burn grounding her, and checked her phone. Mia's reply. Found a Samantha Reed, 17, sent to a camp in Idaho. Working on more details. Claire's resolve hardened. She'd find Sam for Ellie, and maybe for herself to prove she could do something right. The next morning Ellie texted, "Can we meet? I need to talk." Claire met her at a cafe near the community center, where Ellie sat with a coffee, her sketchbook open to a drawing of Sam vibrant, smiling, alive. "Lily's trying," Ellie said. "But it's weird. She's a stranger, you know?" Claire nodded. "Give it time. She loves you. I can see it." Ellie's eyes searched hers. "Why do you care so much about me?" About her. Claire's breath caught. She could lie, keep her past buried, but Ellie deserved more. "Lily and we were in love once," she admitted. "A long time ago. I left her, and I've regretted it every day since." Ellie's eyes widened, but she didn't pull away. "So you're—" "Yeah," Claire said, a weight lifting. "I'm like you, Ellie. And I want you to have what I didn't. A chance to be yourself, to love who you love." Ellie's lips twitched, not quite a smile but close. "Thanks," she said softly. "For everything." As they sat, Claire's phone buzzed. Mia with an address for the camp. Claire's heart raced. This was it. A chance to help Ellie to rewrite a small piece of her own story. But as she looked at Ellie, sketching Sam's face with such care, she knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The cafe's warmth couldn't touch the chill in Claire's bones as she stared at Mia's message. An address for the conversion camp in Idaho, a place called Hope's Path. The name twisted her stomach. A cruel irony for a place designed to break spirits like Sam's. Ellie sat across from her, sketching, unaware of the lead Claire now held. She didn't tell her yet. The hope could be too much or not enough. "You okay?" Ellie asked, her pencil pausing. Claire forced a smile. "Just thinking. How's it going with Lily?" Ellie shrugged, her expression conflicted. "She's nice, I guess. But it's like she's trying to make up for 12 years in one day. It's a lot." Claire nodded, understanding the weight of lost time. "Give her a chance," she said. "She's figuring it out just like you." Ellie's eyes flicked to Claire's phone. "You're doing something, aren't you?" "About Sam." Claire hesitated, then nodded. "I've got a lead. A camp in Idaho. I'm working on it." Ellie's face lit up, then shadowed with fear. What if she's not okay? Her voice trembled and Claire reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "We'll find her. I promise." Back at the hotel, Claire called Mia, her voice low. "Get me everything on Hope's Path, staff, funding, legal status. And see if you can confirm Sam's there." Mia's efficiency was a lifeline, and within hours she had a dossier. The camp was privately funded, with a history of complaints but no legal action. Sam's name appeared on a recent intake list. Claire's blood ran cold. She booked a flight to Boise, telling Ellie only that she had business to handle. The drive to the camp was stark, Idaho's rolling hills giving way to a fenced compound that looked more like a prison than a path to hope. Claire's tailored suit and polished demeanor opened doors, and she posed as a donor to get inside. The director, a man with a too-wide smile, showed her around, spouting rhetoric about healing and family values. Claire's jaw clenched, but she played along, her eyes scanning for any sign of Sam. In a group session she saw her, a girl with dark curls and haunted eyes, sitting silently among others. "Sam." Claire's heart thudded. She slipped away, texting Mia to dig into the camp's vulnerabilities. Anything to get Sam out legally. Back in Portland she told Ellie the truth. "I saw her," Claire said, watching Ellie's face crumple with relief and fear. "She's alive, but she's not okay." Ellie's hands shook. "We have to get her out. Please, Claire." Claire nodded, her resolve steeling. "We will. But we have to be smart." She contacted a lawyer friend, Rachel, who specialized in youth rights. Rachel confirmed the camp's practices skirted legality and promised to file an emergency injunction. Claire funded it all, her wealth a weapon for once. Days later, Claire and Ellie returned to Idaho with Rachel. The camp's gates loomed, and Ellie's grip on Claire's arm was tight. Inside, the director's smile faltered as Rachel presented the injunction, backed by evidence of coercive practices. Sam was released, her face pale but unbroken as she saw Ellie. They ran to each other, clinging like the world might pull them apart again. Claire watched, tears stinging her eyes. She remembered that kind of love, fierce, defiant, worth everything. But the moment was cut short by Lily's arrival, summoned by Ellie's call. Lily's eyes met Claire's, a storm of emotions passing between them. "You did this?" Lily asked, her voice soft but heavy. Claire nodded. "For her. For you." Lily's gaze softened, but there was no time to unpack their past. Sam, trembling, told them about the camp. Endless therapy sessions, isolation, shame. Ellie held her, whispering promises of safety. Claire's heart broke, but it also swelled. She'd given Ellie this moment, this reunion. It was more than she'd ever done for Lily. As they drove back to Portland, Sam asleep in Ellie's arms, Lily sat beside Claire. "Why now?" Lily asked quietly. "After all this time?" Claire's throat tightened. "Because I saw her, Ellie, on that bench, and it was like seeing you again. I couldn't walk away. Not this time." Lily's eyes glistened, but she didn't respond. Claire didn't push. For now, it was enough to have Ellie and Sam safe, to have a second chance to do right by Lily's daughter. But as the road stretched ahead, Claire knew the hardest part. Facing her own heart was still to come. The Portland sky was bruised with clouds as Claire, Lily, Ellie, and Sam sat in a quiet diner. The clink of dishes a soft backdrop to their fragile new reality. Ellie and Sam held hands under the table, their faces lit with cautious hope. Lily watched them, her expression a mix of joy and guilt, while Claire sat apart, feeling like both a savior and an outsider. "You okay?" Ellie asked Sam, her voice soft. Sam nodded, her dark curls falling over her eyes. "Better now," she said, squeezing Ellie's hand. Claire's heart ached. She saw herself and Lily in them, young and in love, before the world taught them to hide. She glanced at Lily, who met her eyes for a fleeting moment, a silent acknowledgement of their shared past. Lily broke the silence. "Ellie, I want you to stay with me," she said, her voice steady but pleading. "I know I messed up, but I want to make it right." Ellie's face tightened, her gaze flicking to Sam. "What about Sam?" "Her parents won't let her go home." Lily hesitated, then nodded. "Both of you then. If that's what you want." Claire's throat tightened. She'd spent her life building walls, her company, her wealth, her polished persona. But here in this diner, those walls felt useless. She wanted to help, to fix everything, but some things couldn't be bought. "I can help," she said, her voice low. "A place to stay, legal support for Sam, whatever you need." Ellie's eyes softened. "You've done enough, Claire. More than enough." But it didn't feel like enough. Not when Lily's gaze held years of unspoken pain. Not when Claire's own regrets loomed like shadows. She paid for the meal, insisting despite Lily's protests, and they stepped into the rainy street. Ellie and Sam walked ahead, their laughter a fragile melody against the drizzle. Lily fell into step beside Claire, their silence heavy but not hostile. "Why did you leave me?" Lily asked suddenly, her voice barely audible over the rain. Claire's heart stopped. She dreaded this question, but she owed Lily the truth. "I was scared," she admitted. "Of what we were, of what the world would do to us. I thought running would protect me. It didn't." Lily's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. "It broke me, Claire. Losing you." Claire's chest cracked open. "I know," she whispered. "I see it now in Ellie. I see what I cost you." Lily shook her head. "It wasn't just you. I made choices too. I left her, Claire. My own daughter." Her voice broke and Claire instinctively reached for her hand, then stopped, unsure. Lily took it anyway, her grip tentative but warm. They walked in silence, the past and present weaving together. Claire thought of the girl she'd been, in love with Lily, too afraid to fight. She thought of Ellie, sleeping on that bench, and Sam, trapped in a camp that tried to erase her. She thought of the life she'd built, empty despite its shine, and the life she could still choose. Back at Lily's small apartment, Claire watched as Ellie and Sam settled in, their bond a quiet defiance against the world's cruelty. Lily pulled Claire aside, her voice low. "I don't know what this means for us," she said, "but I'm glad you're here." Claire nodded, her heart full and aching. "Me too." Days turned to weeks. Claire stayed in Portland, helping Lily navigate custody papers for Ellie and Sam, funding therapy for Sam's trauma, and slowly rebuilding a connection with Lily. They talked late into the night, unraveling years of pain and love. It wasn't easy, trust came slowly, but it came. Ellie and Sam grew stronger, their love a beacon Claire and Lily both leaned into. One evening as they all sat on Lily's couch, Ellie showed Claire a new sketch. A park bench empty now with the city skyline glowing behind it. "This is where it started," Ellie said, her voice steady. "You didn't walk away." Claire's eyes stung. "Neither did you," she said, looking at Lily, then Ellie, then Sam. "None of you did." The rain had stopped and through the window the stars broke through the clouds. Claire didn't have all the answers, but she had this. A family pieced together from broken parts. A love that refused to be silenced. For the first time, her wealth felt small compared to the weight of this moment. She'd found Ellie on a bench, but in the end they'd all found each other.